Okay, boys and girls, I'm working on video number 4. Video 1 was about the element of art, space, and how an artist can use different techniques and tricks to show deep space on a two-dimensional surface. Video number 2 was about how to draw a simple space shuttle. Video number 3 was how to draw a little astronaut in chibi style, and we drew this one together. In this video, originally I was thinking about doing a UFO and an alien separate, but I think with the size of the paper that I have, I'm going to do a UFO, unidentified flying object, with an alien or two on the inside and kind of put them together. Remember, for your NTI week of April 20th through the 24th, if you chose this assignment, you're doing a outer space themed drawing, and the requirement said to have use the space element techniques of overlapping, which we already have a little bit here, to show that our astronaut is in front of our space shuttle by overlapping the tether. Placement on your paper. Things that are higher on the paper are going to look like they are further away than things that are lower on the paper. Size as well. Things that are bigger are usually closer to the bottom of the paper as well, that are going to be closer to the viewer, and things that are smaller and further away. Then also, we're going to talk about the other requirements that I said that you had to have were an astronaut, a space shuttle, a UFO, and an alien. Okay, and then you're going to add color and value. And of course, you're going to have an appropriate background. In this example, because this is in outer space, I'm going to have stars and planets and comets and maybe some shooting stars. Who knows? A moon, maybe. Okay, maybe even a satellite. All right. So those are things that you're going to get to add on your own to make it more your individual picture. And you can draw any UFO or any alien you would like. These are just examples that I'm showing you in case you want to follow along with me. Remember, you can always pause the video or fast forward the video if I'm going too slow or too fast for you. Okay, so we're going to get started. And remember, I had my astronaut looking at this angle because I'm going to put my UFO right up here. So I'm going to focus my camera into that section by moving a little bit closer here. My document camera to this area of the paper so that you can see it a little better. Okay. And we're going to practice drawing first a UFO. And again, I looked online. I got a bunch of different references of how to draw different types of UFOs. I found some how to draw step-by-step different types of UFOs. There's all kinds of how to draw little different types of aliens that you can find. How to draw alien fantasies books is another reference that you could use. So I kind of look off of those things, and then I kind of just make my own type of examples to go from so that it's more of my own pictures. And that's kind of what I want you guys to do. I want you to, of course, you can follow along this video, but I also want you to make some changes to it as well so that it becomes your drawing and not just a carbon copy of mine. Okay? All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of turn my paper just a little bit, because remember, it's okay to turn your paper whatever way you want to. And remember, I have her looking at it, so this is kind of how I'm going to actually tilt my UFO just a little bit. So I'm going to tilt my paper because I want her to be looking at it. I'm actually going to zoom out just a little, at least until we get the placement of it on there so you can see. And I want it to be like she's looking at it, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do, and of course you want to draw lightly, and again, I'm just using regular old plain wooden pencils. If you like to use mechanical pencils, that's fine. I don't personally enjoy working with those. I draw too heavy and too dark, and so I'm constantly breaking the lead. So the first shape I'm going to draw is I want you to start with a diamond shape, okay? A square kind of on its side, a diamond shape. It's going to help us get our UFO in here, okay? So, and it's going to be kind of big compared to our space shuttle because I want our UFO to be pretty close to our astronaut. That's why she's a little shocked. And that way, too, we can see the inside of this space shuttle and be able to see our aliens' faces. So it's got to be a little bit closer to us, okay? All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a plus sign in the middle of my diamond here, and this is going to help me draw my UFO symmetrical, which means equal or the same, exact same thing on both sides of my spaceship. So it's going to just help us get it a little more equal. Later, we'll start to add details so it won't be a perfect symmetrical UFO. All right, kind of looks like a kite. She's scared by a kite. All right. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to start working on the body of the UFO. All right. So now you kind of see the size and the placement of it. Oops, excuse me. I'm going to get a little bit closer to this thing. All right. And again, you can turn your paper any which way you need to. Set the light a little bit. And then I'm just going to cast shadows. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is start by coming from this corner here. And I'm just going to go down a little more than halfway between here and here. And I'm going to kind of curve. And then I'm going to come back up. I am making the bottom of our spaceship, or UFO, excuse me. And coming back up just a little bit right here. And again, you'll notice I did not do that in one perfect, clean, crispy line there. I always get a lot of you who want to do it in one perfect line, and you get so upset when you can't do that. I do it in a bunch of sketchy lines here, and then I go back over it to darken up what I do want, okay? I'm not going to worry about erasing it and get it just perfect yet, because I'm going to be adding a bunch of different details on there, all right? The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to add like this middle part. And basically, I'll show you kind of what I kind of practiced on before. I'm kind of going for something like this. All right, so that was my practice drawing that I did before we started this. All right, so I'm going to kind of start with this like middle section here. So I'm going to kind of go a little bit lower than where my plus sign meets here. And I'm just going to kind of do like this. And I'm going to kind of come all the way right here. It's about, I'm going to kind of do my fingers like this. Remember I said you can use your fingers as a measurement to kind of make sure you're kind of equal to both sides here. You could also use a ruler if you're one of those people who want to get it exactly right. You could use a part of your pencil. You can go, oh, from the tip to the pencil to, right here is the same distance, and then make sure it matches over here. I usually just try to use my fingers and just go, okay, that's about right. That's about right. Okay? All right. So where it touches my middle line right here, I'm going to draw a straight line up and a straight line up. Just kind of sketching it. Again, I didn't do that in one dark solid line. I just kind of sketched it up, okay? All right. Next, I'm going to do another curved line that's going to be really parallel to this line. Okay, see how I did not make that line straight? See how it kind of curves down? That's going to help trick the viewer's eye into thinking that our UFO is three-dimensional and kind of round. I am going to go ahead and erase that little extra stuff in there that I had. Okay, so I want to make sure that this line right here kind of curves down. It's kind of parallel to this one. Parallel means that these lines would never intersect, never meet. They just kept going and going. They would never meet. All right. And they connected those two straight lines that I made right there. And I can go ahead and get rid of the inside stuff there if you hadn't already. Okay. All right, next I'm going to go right here at this corner and along the little triangle, the diamond shape we drew earlier. I'm just going to put a little diagonal dash right there, and I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do it again over here. See how they both angle in? This one needs to be a little straighter. All right, and then I'm going to do another parallel line to this. Let me get my hand out of the way, to this line, and I'm just going to go like this all the way around. Again, I'm not trying to make one dark, perfect, solid line. Kind of sketching it all the way over to here. I'm going to go ahead and erase that inside stuff I don't need. All right. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make like a glass bubble dome for the top of it. So I'm going to kind of start right here and kind of go up and curve to the top. Turn my paper and go back down this way. It might be easier too if you turned your paper this way and thought about this being the letter D, a capital D, if that might help you as well. Not sure. It kind of helps me a little bit, especially since I have a D in my first name, so I'm used to drawing Ds. And that'll help make it a little more even and not so bubbly right there. Going over it a little bit darker here. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the inside lines. I don't need those anymore. Let me grab my eraser off of my other pencil. I like these white polymer erasers. I got them at Walmart when they went on sale right after school started. That's the kind they are. Those are my favorite. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to finish working on the sides of my UFO right here. I'm going to take this piece right here and about halfway up between this bottom line and this top line right here, I'm going to take it and curve it into there. Then I'm going to do the same thing over here. So about halfway between those two lines, it's about right here. I'm going to take it and curve it into there. Oops. And then I'm going to erase any leftover of that original diamond shape that I had drawn up there. Notice I haven't gotten rid of this part down here yet. Okay. All right. All right. I'm going to add, finish out this bottom part right here. But hopefully you can start to see it. Start to see a little bit of a UFO going on here. Okay. All right. So I'm going to add a second parallel. Well, it's not really going to be parallel line. It's going to be curved, but it's not a parallel line because we do want this line to come up and intersect with this one. So it starts out here, and then it's going to come down. All right? And then I kind of want it to do the same here. So it's right along this line. It's going to kind of ride the same, and then comes out and around. Kind of follows that very original diamond shape that you drew. Now I can get rid of any extras that I had in there. All right, the last little part, I like to think of it as if it was blasting off, this is where the fire would come out of it. So I put a little dash right here, and I'm gonna, I still have my middle mark here that I made. So I'm gonna take my two fingers here, I have to turn it this way, and I'm gonna take my two fingers and kind of measure it. And then I'm gonna kind of go over here and give me an idea about right where that should be, so that I can make my other dash about equal distance apart. Okay? All right, so I'm going to make this come out just a little bit, and this is going to come out just a little bit. And I actually kind of want them to angle in a little more, so I'm going to go back over them and diagonal them just a little more. I want to angle them instead of drawing them straight, like I told you. Excuse me. There we go. All right. I'm going to actually make them come out just a little bit longer. And then I'm going to curve this around. Back over. And then I'm going to make a slightly smaller one. I'm just going to come in just a little bit on both sides, a little bit of a diagonal, and then do it again. Now I don't want to draw fire coming out of there because I don't want my poor little astronaut hurt. All right. I can get rid of those lines. There we go. All right. I'm going to add some details to my little spaceship. I'm going to put some lights on here. I'm going to put just a circle. I still kind of have my middle line here, so I can see that this is going to be the middle. So I'm going to add one here. Still kind of keeping it symmetrical. Again, you'll notice I did not do that in one perfect line. Okay. If you have something in your home that you can trace around there, maybe a little chapstick container or lid, you can do that. Maybe a small, skinny, thin-tipped marker. Maybe you can do that if you want to. It's totally up to you. I'm going to put another one here. And then I'm going to go ahead and I actually kind of have room for another one. So I'm going to go ahead and put one here. And then I'm going to come over here and add some more. Now my lights are not equal distance apart here, so I may need to move this one over just a little bit. Alright. And then I'm going to add one right here on the ends to make it look like they do keep going around the spaceship, all the way around this little middle part here. And then I erased that little piece of spaceship that went inside there because I don't want my lights to look like they're see-through right there. And you could go back in and you could give them like an edge or a rim maybe. I'm not sure if you want to do that or not. You could add more lights. You could put some smaller ones in between here. I would just probably, whatever I did on one side, I would probably add to the other. Ooh, that got real tight right there. So I need to kind of move these over a little. But again, these are, small details that you can do differently. You could put stripes in there. You could put letters. You could put maybe the name of your ship or some fancy weird symbols that is maybe the alien language. Kind of like on our space shuttle, we put USA. Maybe you're going to put the alien symbols that represent what the ship is. I'm going to do something like that to kind of fill in my weird spacing that I did there to kind of make it look like I did it on purpose. Okay? All right, so that's kind of my UFO. I can go through and add some more details. On my first original one where I was practicing, I kind of went through and I added, they kind of look like stripes right here, but in my mind I was thinking where like two pieces of metal would overlap. And I could put nuts and screws and bolts and welding marks in there to make it look like it, was a machine and that it had been made and created. And so I had added these little parallel lines. And then I was going to go back and put, little circles or little nuts and bolts or something in there. So something like that, maybe. And you could add designs. And then after I did that, I was like, oh, I kind of like the idea of adding these in like this. Because when you add these second ones down here on the bottom like this, you help give the idea that this spaceship is round and three-dimensional and then it goes down. So I kind of liked the idea of adding those on there. I thought that was a neat effect to help make it look three-dimensional. So that's why I did that. All right, now let's talk about our aliens. Okay, let's also talk about your hand getting dirty. If you notice that you're getting little graphite, we say lead, but our pencils are no longer made out of lead. They're made out of graphite. But if you notice that your hand is getting dirty like I am, I call myself like a lazy artist because I get this all over my hand as I'm drawing. You'll start to notice that you're starting to get dirty little fingerprints, all right, all over your paper. And that is not good. That will leave dirty little marks. And when you go to color and shade and stuff, it just dirtifies your paper just a little bit. It makes it look smudgy. So you need to be careful about that. I have a couple of tricks that you can use for that. One is just don't rest your hand on the paper, which is pretty difficult to do. But two, the best trick that I have found for me is I take a piece of paper, it can be a piece of notebook paper, a piece of just plain white paper that doesn't have any drawings on it, and I just fold it up. And then what I do is I set it on the paper, and then I rest my hand on it. And then as I'm drawing, I'm not smudging the pencil graphite onto my hand. Now, I may be getting it on this paper, but it won't get smeared as bad and then transferred all over my paper. So that will help keep your paper clean if you notice that your hand is leaving or fingerprints are leaving dirty marks, okay? Because I don't like to have my drawings all dirtied up. So make sure you're cleaning up, okay? And I've just noticed this. Sometimes, too, if you're like, no matter what I do, Miss Knight, just seems very dirty. This pencil's so dark, I can't get it to clean up very well. Well, it could be the type of eraser you're using, or it could be your pencil as well. Some pencils are just darker than others. Some brands are darker than others, so just be careful. If you need to, maybe try to change up your pencils, okay? All right, so I've cleaned up a little bit. Put us back on the right track here. All right, so let's get back to drawing my little aliens. So nobody has really seen, nobody's really said this is exactly what aliens look like. So you can draw your aliens any which way you want to, okay? I'm going to draw mine the way that, most people describe aliens, with the kind of like light bulb type shaped head and the big, big eyes, okay? And I'm going to put them actually in the spaceship. So the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of get some very, very light circles and sketch out where I kind of think I want them. And because this is so big, I'm going to have room for two. Because again, this is further away than my astronauts, so they're going to need to appear that they are smaller. So I'm going to have plenty of room in here for two. So I'm going to start with like this kind of circular shape for a head here, and then I'm going to put another one right here. So right now it's going to kind of look like our spaceship has eyeballs looking at us. All right, and then I'm going to give them a little bit of a neck. And then I'm just going to make their body real simple because we're only going to see the top part of their body if they're sitting in a chair. So I'm just going to square off some little bit of shoulders here. And then I can add details and stuff in a little bit. Okay, so that gives me an idea of where my aliens are going to be before I start adding in all this detail. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm trying to think, okay, if I was inside of this spaceship, what kind of things might I see? So I'm trying to think if this is the driver, because here we drive on the left-hand side of the vehicle. And so in my mind, if we were in this would be the left-hand side if you were sitting inside this car or spaceship. So I'm going to start by having this alien be the driver. So I'm going to have long fingers, and I'm just going to have 3. And then this is going to be the little handles. In my mind, I imagined, instead of a traditional steering wheel, I'm imagining two sticks that you pull up and down, and then maybe they're kind of connected in the middle, kind of like a steering wheel. So I'm going to do it like this. So that is my alien driver. All right, then we'll pull a little more detail on his body, or hers. Okay. Now I'm going to come over to this alien and work on this body. This alien, I'm going to put like kind of like a dashboard or something in front of it. And I imagine that this alien is in charge of helping run the ship. And there's going to be all kinds of buttons and things on there. So first of all, that dash would be made of glass. And then I'm just going to put like little buttons and knobs that we barely see the top of. All right. Now, I want this alien to be shocked. And when I think about somebody being shocked, I think about them having a hand over their face. So I'm going to have, I'm going to put like a circle for this alien's hand. And I'm going to twist it just a little more. And its arm. So a little stick for right there. And then maybe its other arm is like, oh no, waving up. All right. So kind of know how I think I want this alien to be. All right. So now I'm going to draw this alien. I'm going to start first by working on its hands. My aliens are just going to have 3 fingers. And if I imagine this alien was in shock, his thumb would be here. There's 1 finger, 2 finger, 3 fingers. And then there's his or her arm. And I'm going to clean up around it here so I can see what I'm doing. All right. Here's its neck and its body. Its other hand is just barely coming up. So we're going to do like this. And then I'm going to draw its thumb. And then 1, 2, 3 fingers. And erase any of the extra stuff. And I'm using my little piece of paper here to help me. All right. Now I'm going to draw its head. And I'm going to do mine less circular and more light bulbish. I'm going to erase. All right, and I'm going to put, you see the bottom part of this alien's mouth down here. And maybe the top part, like it's got a really, its mouth is really big and open because it's very frightened. And then I'm going to put big old eyes. And I'm going to color those in. All right. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do the next alien. Give it the light bulb head. So I'm going to go up, out, make it a little bit bigger. Erase any of the old stuff I don't need anymore. And I'm going to give it the big ol' eyes first. And again, I'm shading this in with my pencil. You don't have to. You can wait and add color there, or use a black marker if you wanted to. And this one, I think I'm going to mirror my astronaut's mouth, and it was kind of a bean shape and kind of down, like, oh no. There we go. I could add clothes to them. I could put a hat on there. I could give them ears. I could give them, which is not what they traditionally you see on alien pictures that people talk about, but I could also give them antennas. You know, I could add things to the top of the spaceship. On the last one I did, I kind of had like a little antenna going on right here, so I could add that here if I wanted to. You know, at this point, I basically have a lot of what I was asking for. I'm going to zoom out here. I have my outer space theme picture. I have my required space shuttle. I have my required astronaut. I have my aliens, and I have my UFO. I need to make sure, though, that I have those drawing techniques I talked about. I have a little bit of overlapping here. I have a little bit of placement and size. So we need to talk about having other things in here like the appropriate background, and to again make sure that we understand size and placement in this picture so that other people will understand that we've used space in this picture. So I'm going to add things like planets, and usually we know planets are going to be huge compared to a person or a space shuttle. But because I want to show distance and I want it to show that it's very far away, my planets are going to end up being a lot smaller than these items, okay? So I'm going to start by having, I'm going to work here. So I'm going to start, because I have a bigger space here, I'm going to work by having a circle here. And again, I did not just sit here and draw that circle perfectly. Apologize for that light. I'm going to see if that will help get rid of any of these shadows that I'm casting. All right, so I'm going to start with this circle here. All right, once I got a good size, I'm going to do that. And again, I don't care if you find something in your house that's the right size to trace around, okay? Maybe there's a seasoning container or something that you can trace around, okay? And then I'm going to make this be Jupiter because of its size and it's so big. And so one thing we know about Jupiter is it has that storm, or the eye that it calls, right in the middle. So I did that by drawing a squiggly line, a spiral. And then I'm just going to kind of do waves around it. And then for the rest of the planet, I'm just going to do some waves. Ta-da! Jupiter. All right. Another very recognizable planet that people like to draw is Saturn because of its rings. So I'm going to do it next, and I'm going to do it smaller than Jupiter, okay? And I'm going to put it probably right in here, and it's going to fall off the page. And it's okay for some of your things to fall off the page. And I do want this circle to be a little bit smaller. So I'm going to do it something similar to this. Still want it to be big enough so that we can put some details in there. I want it to just fall off. And again, it's okay if you want to trace something. And I'm going to put the rings at an angle. So I'm just going to do this. All I did was come out and then curve it back. And then I'm just going to do it a couple more times. Come out, curve it back. Come out, curve it back. And however many times you do this, it's how many rings you're going to have. Okay? All right, Jupiter is known to have lots of moons. So I'm going to just go ahead and put some smaller circles around it here and there. I may even put one that kind of overlaps it a little bit because, again, that'll give us that overlapping. I'm going to erase the inside of it, though, because the moon wouldn't be made of glass. May even have one just kind of peeking out a little bit right there. And again, overlapping because I've got Jupiter in front of that moon and that moon in front of Jupiter. All right, I'm going to do another planet down here. I'm going to do Earth down here. I'm going to do it a lot bigger. Even though we know in real life that Earth would not be bigger than Jupiter, I'm going to show it bigger because our astronaut is closer to it and we, the viewer, are closer to it. So I'm going to do something like that. And then if you can't draw like the United States and get it just perfect, guys, it's fine. If you just draw some green blobbies and color around it blue, everybody is going to go, oh yeah, that's the Earth, okay? Because it's the only planet in our solar system that looks like that. I usually try to draw the United States because, you know, that's where I'm from. That's what I recognize. And I usually just try to get some Florida in there. And I try to put a little curve in there and try to get the top of South America going on in there. And then I don't worry about it being exactly correct. Because again, like I said, once I color that green and blue around it, everybody's going to go, oh yeah, that's Earth. But if you want it to be really accurate, feel free to look it up. And put some little islands over there if you want to. You can put some little weird blue little splotches right here to be those Great Lakes if you'd like, okay? And again, yours doesn't even have to look like this. I'm just giving you an idea of what I would put in the background if I was doing this, okay? I'm going to come over here, and I think I'm going to draw even bigger, maybe. Like this. Kind of let it fall off the page. I'm going to make this Mars, the red planet. All right? And I'm just going to draw a few lines in here, I think, just to kind of give me something to put some color into. And I'm going to kind of make the lines. I'm going to darken up my edge. And then I'm going to make my lines kind of do like that around it. I want to give us, again, trick the viewer's eye into seeing that my planet is round. And I'll just make sure that when I color this planet, I use a lot of reds and rust and browns and oranges to kind of give us the whole idea that this is Mars, the red planet. If you want to be, you know, more exact, more realistic, go for it. Okay? All right, I might add a meteorite in here. I might add some shooting stars, an asteroid. I like to do shooting stars because I think they're pretty easy to draw. I think I'm going to put one maybe over this way. And the reason why I think they're easy to draw is if you kind of draw like a really long comma or like an eyebrow shape, that's basically all you have to do. And then when you color it, you just, you know, color it white or leave it the white of the paper when you color all around the space. If you want it to look like it's, you know, really hot or something, you can color it like this. And and gradually it goes from like white to blue or blue to white, or you can have some oranges and yellows and stuff in there. I usually make it white and then have a little yellow and orange on the back end there. Okay. All right, one last thing I'm going to show you, and then I'm going to let you be and let you finish coloring, or let you finish your drawing up and make it your own and add your own colors and things to it, is talk about how to draw a star. I always get kids who say, Miss Knight, I can't draw stars. I can't draw stars. Okay. Well, guys, I can't draw a perfect star either without doing what I call the cheater method. And the cheater method is just where you do like this. All right. A lot of people, it surprises me, don't know how to do that step. So I'm going to show you a few ways, and I'll show you how to make it look like a really good star. Basically, what I do is, and there's lots of different ways to do it, but the way I do it is I start at the left-hand side and I go straight over to the right, and you shouldn't lift your pencil. You should always keep it moving. And then I go down at an angle. Almost looks like the greater than or less than sign. Then I go up, but instead of going straight up, you're going to go up at a diagonal and cross that line. It looks like an upside down 4. Then I'm going to go down, but I'm going to go down at an angle again, cross all those lines, and then this just comes up and meets that one. That's it. And then what I do whenever anybody sees some of my stars, they're like, yeah, but your stars look perfect. You didn't do that. And I'm like, yeah, I did. All I did was then I go back in and I erase the inside and I go back over the outside. And I just do like this. But when I draw an outer space picture, I don't make all my stars look like that either, though. Because real stars are balls of gas, okay? So they don't have to look like that. You could just have circles, all right? Especially for ones that are really far away, all right? And then as you color them, you just leave the white of the paper showing through. Or maybe you color some yellow or red, green even if you want. You can also draw stars. Sometimes I will mix up my stars and I'll just draw little diamonds. All right? Or if you want to get really fancy, maybe you do something like this where it's 4 of these little angles that come together in the middle. You could do something like that. Or you could get really fancy and add some more angles back here in the background, in the 4 corners, and add more. It's totally up to you how you want to do your stars, okay? The only thing I don't think look as good is people who just make X's or snowflake looking things. Those don't really look like stars, okay? If you're gonna do an X, let me show you what you can do. If you're gonna do something like that, then just go back and kind of thicken it up. Wait a minute, let me show you one. All right, so let's pretend that you can't do any of these other stars that I showed you. And so you want to do this. Well, what I would do is draw that first lightly and then go back with your pencil and just make a triangles or V's. That's what I'm trying to say. Little V's over all of the ends. And then erase the inside snowflake X-shaped thing you did and color that yellow. That looks like a really cool star. In fact, I may end up doing more of those. Kind of like it. Okay? So you could totally do that. Just don't leave this. That is just not as good. All right? And make them different sizes. Remember, size and placement help make the viewer see 3-dimensional. So I'm going to have smaller ones back in here because I want this stuff up here to look further away than the things that are down here. All right? So hopefully this is going to help you with your NTI work for the week of April 20th through the 24th. The week 24 through May 1st, we're going to be doing another space scene. So a lot of these videos here will help you do that picture, but instead of being in outer space on that one, we're going to have our friendly astronaut is going to land on their planet and visit their city. So that's going to be kind of cool, in my opinion. I hope you'll like it too. So I hope you'll join me again. Please finish your drawing. Don't forget and remember is what I'm trying to say. This is not finished though. I still need color. Look, I need to color my sky. I need to add black and blues and purples. And I highly suggest coloring with crayon for your sky. I would color like all my stars and stuff and planets first, and then I would do my sky last and with crayon and do it really lightly, okay? and go really slow around my edges, and I would color lightly. Nothing says you have to sit here and color super, super dark with your crayons and try to get in there, okay? If you're using colored pencils, I would color my sky background first and then work your way up. And again, go very slow and go in the same direction. Don't go like this, because that's what I call scribble coloring, because you can see that, okay? If you're doing some kind of painting, if you're doing a mix, if you're going to do some kind of painting, I would paint the very, very black background. And again, it doesn't have to just be solid black. Outer space has different colors in it too. You can use blues and purples and reds, okay? Look at pictures of space if you need help with that. But you can I would color the background first and then work your layers up. All right. If you're going to outline your objects with marker, you should do that before you ever start any kind of coloring, because Sharpie will not go over well colored pencil or crayon because of the wax that is in those materials. The wax will get inside the spongy part of the tip and then will dry your marker out and make it very hard to use the Sharpie. Now, again, there's nothing that says you have to use markers or colored pencils or crayons or Sharpies. That's your choice, but you do need to add color, please. All right, don't forget to share these with me. I can't wait to see what you guys do. Be safe and be well. Bye.